republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking for an approval of the agenda. I'd like to add a couple of items. Go ahead. I have an RSU 21 update. And then under business, I'd like to have a discussion with the board on the new municipal building security lease. Anything else?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Velma,
Second.
seconded by Tom. All in favor? Public forum. Any non-agenda items, please? Nothing?
Quiet day.
Approval of the minutes, August 12th. Everything looks all right. I'll make a motion to approve it, right? Motion by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Phil. All those in favor? What was yours, Dan? Okay, RSU meeting of August 19th. Let's see, approval of the nomination of Jennifer Kugler, .6 Spanish teacher at KES, $35,315. Nomination of Lori Swihart Brown, .5 social worker at MLD and SRS, salary of $34,141.50. Nomination of Elena Lance, social worker at the high school, $49,435. Nomination of Justin Springer, .85 art teacher at MSK, salary of $39,325. And then the resignation of Jennifer Humphrey, grade 5 teacher at KCS. Gave a little presentation on, let me back up here, yeah. So there was a presentation on the International Bachelorette Program, it's called the IB. There was a lot of discussion about that and whether to use that or not. I guess there's a group of teachers and a committee that was formed that kind of feel that this IB program, which they've been working on for quite a few years, they don't like it, so they're looking at maybe kind of changing some things around. So there's more to come on that. Old business, they've talked about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Gave another update on that. There will be a presentation sometime in December for everybody on what that's all about. There's going to be a presentation on the 16th of this month for Universal Design for Learning. This is a framework to improve and optimize teaching and learning for all people based on scientific insights into how humans learn. The goal of UDL is to remove barriers to the curriculum for all learners as a means to develop expert learners. They talk about culture of love, community book. There's a Dr. Louvel Brown that's going to be there on the 29th. He's going to be the keynote address speaker. Second reading on some policies. School board meeting agenda, they approved that. There was a little bit of discussion on when public comments will be allowed, and kind of looks like they're leaning towards, a public comment early on, and then maybe at the very end also allowing a public comment, but they wanted to make sure that the general public understands that they can comment on any agenda items, but they can do so at the time that those agenda items are being discussed. A little update on the interim superintendent. They didn't say on how many applicants came in, but they were working on setting up interviews, and those interviews were supposed to happen last week and this week. That was their plan. And that's pretty much it. We adjourned at 9:12 p.m.
Was that IB program, was that in the middle school? Was that the one at the middle school?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That
So the
was-
middle school has IB program and so does it the high
High school,
school.
yeah.
So then that was part of a discussion on, well, if you're gonna eliminate it here, you know, why is it working at the high school? Cause the high school likes it, so they gotta kinda go back and meet together and figure out what's the best way to go.
Thank you, Dan. Moving on, Mr. Manager.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, last week we had a visit from Lance Lemieux from MMA Loss Prevention Department to identify safety concerns among our buildings. He identified several areas at the town hall, identified that we still need to do some attention to the outside siding on the side of the building, and also the battery operated fire exit light in the basement needs to be replaced. Went over to the fire station and discovered that we're in the transition of moving some of the living quarters. And as a result of that, the new locations don't have smoke detectors yet, so the smoke detectors need to be replaced in those locations. And finally, at the salt shed, there was some spalling going on the foundation in the salt shed building, which he identified and which was repaired this past week. So the list was a lot longer than that. We had a very healthy discussion relative to the existence of what's happening with the town hall. He decided not to penalize us much at this point until we figure out what we're gonna end up doing with the town hall, so we're okay at this point. Just to let you know, a reminder of the upcoming meetings. Tomorrow we have the general contractors meeting for the building before they submit their bids to you folks in a couple weeks. We'll be meeting at 10 o'clock at the fire station, after which the vendors or the companies can get down to the site and visit the site and really take a look at where this project's gonna be, perhaps to help them sort of fine tune their costs associated with it. So I'll have more to report once we see what kind of turnout we have tomorrow morning. And finally, last week I went to Portland and spoke with the architects and the furniture folks that are be supplying us bids on furniture packages for the building. Again, those will be available, be open at your September 9th meeting as well. 3 of our preferred vendors, only 2 were at the meeting, so we'll have to wait to see what kind of costs are associated with that. There was some discussion on, because of the uncertainty with some of the products that may be coming from out of country that will be furniture related. There was concerns on escalating the cost and maybe tariffs that may be involved. Indicated to them at this point that we just want, if we bought it tomorrow, what it would be, and then we can have a discussion based on tariffs or escalators that may have to be built in as a result of when that furniture would be purchased. So, we'll just have to wait to see what comes in. That's all I have now.
Thank you. All right, moving on to business. ACT is here for an activity update.
Yes. Good evening.
Yes.
Talk to you from here. So I'm Joan Hull, President, and I'm here to give you an update. I want to thank you for the opportunity to let you know sort of what we've been up to. We also have a couple of other board members that are here tonight, and I know we have at least one more who's coming later. The last time we all kind of met together, we were both signing deeds. Remember that? And at that time, ACT was just 6 citizens with a vision, or our vision, dedicated to creating a stronger, more vibrant community that honors our heritage through the conservation of our unique natural, recreational, and scenic resources for the enjoyment of all. In other words, building a strong community by protecting and giving access to the lands and spaces that make Arundel special. We came to it from the spot of creating community and trying to work together with you guys with the municipal building. Not so much into conservation, we came to that in another way. So the 6 of us left that meeting in December with $16.44 in our bank account and a debt of $175,000. So thought it might be good to let you know where we're at now. So we've grown from 6 to a membership of about 150 people that are members of ACT. We have an email list of sort of supporters and folks that are interested of over 350. As far as the debt, $175,000, that I know some thought that we would never be able to take care of, including myself some days. We expect that by the end of this year, that debt will be down to $40,000 from $175,000. And that we've been able to do that through our fundraising events, through community grants and sponsors, and really through the generosity of our community of Arundel and communities even beyond that. So we feel we've come a long way from the $16.44. Next, I want to talk about some of the properties. So our first property, and this is Tanya, I was telling you about her. She is our trailblazer steward chairperson and on our board. Just began to talk about Welsh Woods. So that's a property, I don't think any of you have been there. It's on River Road. It's about, I don't know, quarter of a mile deep south of Durrell's Bridge on the right. And it's a beautiful place. It's a half-mile loop that goes down to the Kennebunk River. It's just beautiful. It's all forested. And it's now open. We haven't had our official. When we do that this fall, we'll invite you, but it's open. The trails are built, and the signs are up, and it's ready for walking. It's also, when you go down, it's about 300 feet on the river, and it's graced by some beautiful benches that the Boy Scouts from Scout Troop 330 built for us. And if you haven't been down there, all you have to do is take a look at the cover of our annual report this year, and that's a picture of what it looks like down by the river. So we had an incredible group of volunteers because it was kind of wild when we got there. We built about between 75 and 100 feet of boardwalk. 2 bridges were built, including one that, if I do say so, is a beautifully curved bridge that spans a little river. It goes down to the river, and this is true. This is the first access for Arundelites, first public access to the river, to the Kennebunk River in generations. So you go down there. It's just lovely, especially at sunset. So I invite you all. There's a little parking area, 2 or 3 cars, and go down. But we will invite you. The volunteers have been amazing. We probably have had, I was counting them up, at least 25 different trail volunteers. Not all at once, but they're amazing. And we have one family where the youngest was 6 months, and just put them in a pack, and mom and dad were hacking away with the baby in the pack. We have another family with 4 little kids that are always there, another with 2 young daughters. So there's a lot of kids, a lot of folks, all ages. I think the oldest we have at least 2 folks in their 80s that come and work on the trail. So it's been really amazing and gratifying to get that help. So that's Welsh Woods. The Limerick Road property is the next one we're working on. Now you know how big that is, and I gotta tell you, it's rough in there. It's wet and it's rough. But we've come a long way. So far we've got 1 bridge built, and we've got probably about almost 70 feet of boardwalk that's built, but we have a lot more to do. What we're excited about, though, is we just got an anonymous donation to give us the money that should cover all the cost of supplies to do the rest of the work. Just came out of the blue. Because we still have at least 2, if not 3 bridges that have to be built. and we have to make the connection to the Eastern Trail through Phil's land that will make that, we have to do some construction there according to Unitil that they want. So we still have a lot of work to do there, but and there's probably still about 2 miles of trail clearing that has to be done, so just hacking the land. What we're looking at, we've been kind of nibbling at it, but as I described to some folks, it was like, I envisioned the Suez Canal building was with yellow fever, with the ticks and mosquitoes through particularly the beginning part of the summer.
Panama Canal.
Panama Canal, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Not the Suez, sorry. But it's getting better now, and Tanya and I were out there just a couple of days ago, and we've had a lot of support from KCT, Kennebunkport Conservation Trust, especially the fellow called Dave Jordan, to help us, who's been mentoring us and learning how to build bridges and such. So we're hoping to change it up a little bit, and in the end of September, I think so, we're looking at September 28th, and a day in October, is probably having a big community, really talk it up, and have a big community trail building day, where we can get 3 or 4 teams. There'll be a lot of prep work that will be done beforehand, but really publicize it and get a lot of folks in there, so we can really make some progress on it. We've spoken to the Eastern Trail, and it looks like, I had a couple of conversations today that we'll be able to get a lot of our lumber. That's the toughest part now, is just hauling that lumber by foot into where we have to go, and a lot of this building is towards the other end. So it looks like we can get it at least down to the Eastern Trail where it meets your landfill, and then we can probably walk it in from there. But that's our big goal. So you'll be hearing a lot about those community days, and I know you've all got rakes and loppers, but it should be fun. Jim, we need some chainsaws. We thought that would get some folks. Yeah, there's a couple of big trees that are down over where we need to clear some trail. Let's see. We also have a 47-acre piece on Senate Road that we haven't even begun to look at. We're gonna work on that in 2020. A few other things, our events, Timber Tides. This was our second event, and it was very successful, despite the fact that it was like 52 degrees with sideways rain. We appreciate very much the folks that were able to come, and particularly Doma, who was a volunteer for us that night. You'll next see us at Arundel Historical Society at the Heritage Day for the 2nd annual Ladies Skillet Toss. We'll be putting that on. How's your shoulder this year? No, not so much, not so much. But as a new group, we still have a lot of needs. Particularly, we're looking for some more board members. Particularly board members that have not trail building experience, but are willing to learn how to help build trails and work with Tanya in particular, with the teams. So folks with, maybe with some construction, someone who's got an ATV that we can at least get some stuff in there would be helpful. We're also looking for folks in fundraising, development, marketing and PR, and IT and database. So that's, and of course, more trail volunteers, but we're hoping with some more notice and with some specific things for people to sign up, that we'll be able to get some more help going. Anything else? So I just want to thank you for your support, and I want to particularly thank the town employees who have been very supportive. Keith, Roger, Ted, whenever we go in and ask questions about how to do something, they're always trying to find a way to make it happen, and that's meant a lot to us. So we look forward as we go forward with the municipal town building project because of our cooperative agreement. And I know Jack is our representative and is working well to see that we can meet the needs of both groups with that. But I'm sure as we get closer, we'll be doing a lot more together. I guess I would open it up now for any questions that you might have about what's going on.
Is the Eastern Trail gonna let you take an ATV down there to haul that wood down?
Yes. Oh, well, we may actually have a truck, and we may be able to coordinate it with the regular maintenance of the trail.
Oh.
And they're fine with that, so that's gonna work, it's gonna work.
Sounds like you're doing some good stuff.
Yeah, it's been busy.
Yeah, appreciate all the hard work.
It's been very busy, but if you have a chance, it's really just, even on your lunch break or something, if you're around town, just go down Park. It's a half a mile route to just sit by the river, and it's tidal there, so you'll never know what it's gonna, what you're gonna find
It's
there.
pretty, it's quite wide there too,
Yeah.
you can canoe up and down, so.
Yeah, a lot
You
of
can launch
people-
canoes and kayaks there?
You really
Well, you'd have to take it in the half mile,
Yeah.
but what you could do, is launch even down like behind Allison's and go upriver, stop at this site and have a nice beautiful picnic, and then go back down if you wanted to. I mean, presumably you could, but you have to go over the bridges and around the
Yeah.
graceful curve.
Yeah.
There were kayakers on the river, week and a half ago, we were at our neighbors, and their back deck looks right at the river, and there were kayakers down there. And we
Oh.
went there yesterday, and there were herons.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was down there and saw a night heron once, yeah, beautiful. I forgot to tell you, we're also very excited on one of the bridges, that we have to build. It's, I'm working with one of the scouts from 330.
Yes.
He's a life scout and he's looking to make that bridge his Eagle project. So he's going before the scoutmaster at the first level on Wednesday night. We've been down there, we've talked a couple of times, he's got it all sketched out, and so we're very excited about that being an Eagle Scout project. So it's fun. I think what's been great, and people worried about it in the beginning, is that we're working so closely with the Scouts and with the Arundel Historical Society, that it's like two groups have, it's 1 and 1, maybe 3. There's a little nonsense.
Yeah, thanks for the update, John.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, I do have,
Yes.
some of you may have these, but if you don't, you all have cars.
A little free advertisement, you know?
Free
Oh, I have one.
I know you do, but maybe you have some away.
You know, so somebody that needs it, decorations, you can make it.
Right, yeah.
This is a gift.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
all right. I don't know who you are, but there you go. I know you guys.
I have.
Thank you.
So I'll be watching your cars now in the back.
All right, moving on, solar package.
Yes, we put out the RFP for folks to consider our project. We received 3, and they're in front of the chairman now. The first one we received was from Revision Energy, and we received one from Maine Solar Solutions, and the last one was from the solar market here in Arundel. So I think you have the solar market is the one that's in your hands first.
Here.
As I understand, there's probably enough copies, and once you open it, you can disperse those to all the members, so I'll have a copy.
You have one, Keith?
I do not.
All right. I'll just read the cover letter maybe. Town Solar Engineering, Inc., TSE, is proud to present you the following proposal for services for RFP issues on 8/9/19. TSE has been installing solar renewable energy systems since 1975 and has a long tradition of bringing its customers the best in solar energy design and installation. We will strive to meet and exceed all of your expectations and hope to make a lasting relationship with you as you look to invest in new Town of Arundel office building energy portfolio. We have compiled the submittal materials included in this packet and discussed below to show you how TSE will be able to create and implement an efficient, cost-effective, and successful project. TSE has had a great track record in New England and beyond, working with all stakeholders and making solar projects successful. Recently, TSE has installed 8 tracker systems for Sprague Oil in Cape Elizabeth. We were able to showcase our ability to work with CMP and the local municipality to create a project that 9 Sprague family members are now 100% solar powered. An example of this particular system is very similar to your current project in the scope of the work. innovative thinking led TSE to achieve a short timeline and a financially viable project with successful completion. Thanks again for soliciting a bid from Talmadge Solar Engineering, Inc. We are looking forward for the chance to work with you.
And I believe that's
Third
just
page.
insinuated here.
Thank you for coming. Alright, so it looks like TSE, gross cost is $231,120, being the town's contribution of $115,560. It goes into detail as to warranty schedule, breakdown of the months as far as solar radiation, the energy, and a dollar amount essentially. So it looks like that's been broken down once again into an annual amount. For, I don't know the timeline, would that be 25 years, is that? No, it wouldn't be that much, would it? So basically the buyback would be less than 10 years. Am I reading that correctly?
Well, I think you've skipped the, if you could concentrate a little bit on the, business modeling before the gross cost. I think that would be the most important part. Because what I had done was to offer the town one-to-one match.
Okay.
That's why the town contribution is half of the gross cost.
Yep.
And in order for us to be able to team up with the town and the private sector and be able to utilize the 30% tax credit that's available until end of this year and 6-year depreciation value, that's how we're able to model half the cost of actual cost.
Yeah.
Towards the town.
So do the materials need to be purchased before December 31 or not?
5% of the cost has to be spent before December 31st.
In order to qualify for the 30%?
Yeah, and then it'll go down to 26% next year.
Is that true for commercial?
Yeah, that tax credits.
There was this.
This alternative model that, Hamilton was discussing was something that he approached with me. I sent over to the town attorney for some of the issues that we're having, what kind of relationship we can have in order for, to get the 30% tax credits that may be available for this project. So, those discussions are still ongoing. I know that Leah's out in Chicago, taking her son to school, so when she returns, we'll have more discussions. But in a nutshell, I think what he provides here is a gross total for you to consider, and then his the town's contribution to the total package. You can we can set up this arrangement.
So after the start of the 7th year, ATSL is disbanded.
Correct.
So the town of Arundel is 100% responsible for everything after year 7.
Right, owners of the track.
Yes. Alright, so now I'm,
There'd still be some warranties that would still, 25 years on the panels, 12 years on the inverters. The trackers are 10.
which would be prorated obviously, so we'd have about 5 years of warranty.
Right.
Just to talk about warranty a little bit, the panels are 25 years to be no more than 20% degradation after 25 years. The National Renewable Energy Lab and Sandia Labs have been studying multiple generations of the panels, and they predict that 20% degradation, 20% degradation will be reached after 55 to 60 years. So typically, panels are not where the troubles comes from. Electrically, there's an inverter that converts the DC current that's being produced by panels into AC to match CMP output. And inverters are where the problems usually arises from, electrical connections that are no good on the motherboard or whatever. But solar edge that are inverters that I'm naming here also has 20 years and 25-year warranty with a slight extra cost. But 12 years that I'm naming is the standard solar edge warranty, which is 2 years more than anybody else's. So.
Now, let's say at year 25, we have to replace our panels. Can you, if it's an existing system, can you reapply for rebates to replace panels, or does that?
There is no rebate, it's just tax credit, federal tax credit that we're talking about. Maine doesn't have any rebate or any kind of incentive program, financial incentives. But as far as the warranty for panels, I tend to choose companies that are not Chinese, mostly either South Korean, Taiwanese or Japanese panels, or American company called SunPower. The only reason that I do that is because majority of the Chinese panel companies haven't been around for, the warranty period. They're usually 10 years or younger. So I don't know how you would base your warranty judgment on a company that hasn't been around. LG, Samsung, Panasonic, those are all vertically integrated electronics company that has also got into solar panel manufacturing, and I think that it's much more prudent to base it on vertically integrated companies that's been around, that probably will be around in 25 years to claim their warranty if we need to. But like I said, panels are the least of the worry that I have. It's more in inverters that matters.
Well, I appreciate this, Any other questions for?
No, I think, obviously, there's a lot of information there, so we'll have to look at it, digest, and come up with our questions, and
Yeah.
probably call Natalie back in, and, but certainly appreciate this,
Yeah.
Jason?
Yep.
Will the copies of these documents, the 3 RFPs, be made available to the team?
Yeah, I would assume we'll just run these through the printer, or,
Yeah.
even if it's maybe 3 or 4 packets, we could just pass it around, yeah.
Good.
Okay? All right, moving on, this is Maine Solar Solutions. All right. Again, I'll just breeze through this. Thank you for the opportunity to present this preliminary proposal for the new municipal building in Arundel. We take a consultative approach when working with our customers. Our goal is to provide you with the information you need to make an informed decision. We welcome your feedback and questions regarding pricing and specs. We're happy to revise your proposal so we can present a solution that meets your budget. This proposal is based on array mounted on your home's roof. Your roof appears to be well oriented at 170 degrees south. We estimate that this roof can fit up to 144 solar panels. Did that go out in the bid? Was the roof, it was either or?
We put in there, they could use the roof if they so desire.
Based on the information you provided, your annual electricity production target is 100,000 kilowatts per year. Producing all of this power on the roof, while possible, is not necessarily the most cost-effective way. There are multiple sets of quotes here. One for the installation on the roof, only producing 73% of the target goal, and then the others producing 100% installed on fixed ground mount with no moving parts. and a third as a mix of the two. That instantly brings a question that I have for Nalto. Yours were moving, correct?
These are trackers, right, these are non-trackers.
Dual trackers,
Yeah.
yeah.
So these are non-moving.
Correct.
Optional battery-based storage systems for backup power. Lithium battery storage systems that can be used for backup power in the event of power outages. A grid-tied net metered system. So under current utility regulations, this system is considered a grid-tied. Electricity produced by the solar system in excess of your electrical loads will be credited against electricity you buy from the utility during periods of low production, higher consumption. Net metering customers are charged only for the net power that you use. Excess credits, kilowatt credits, accumulated at the end of the billing period, credited on a rolling 12-month basis. So I guess there's a lot more parts to this one.
Correct, I think on page,
Yep.
4 and 5,
Okay, so roof only. Direct purchase price would be $108,237 with a 30% credit, $32,471, for a net cost of $75,766.
I thought we calculated, Jason, that we couldn't fit enough panels on the roof to put out the.
That's what they said.
Well, that's why I think they
They
said
said
73% would be by the roof, so.
Right.
I think they agree with the fact that we couldn't get enough panels on the
yeah,
roof.
that package only includes 73,084 kilowatt hours, so it doesn't meet.
Doesn't meet what we were looking for in the
Correct.
specification.
Right.
But they wrote an alternative.
So is, the next one would be ground mounted system quotes, so this is as close as we're gonna get to apples, but these don't move, so. So essentially it comes down to, direct purchase price of $185,000, 30% tax credit of $55,000, so the net cost after the tax credit would be $129,465, and that's 196 panels. And they're claiming we could get 100%.
Yeah, they're saying 99,576 kilowatt hours a year. Pretty close to the goal.
What's the next one for?
So the next one would be a combination of.
No, what's this cost for the next column, cause you've got 48 panels.
Number of panels, three-phase inverters, so they've,
They're just giving you another,
I think that's to make up, Dan, for the roof. 'Cause it looks like it's 24%. I don't know why he would include that if on the next page it's a combination
Yeah.
system, but the math equals what he has over here of 97%. So essentially, it's the two numbers added together, so 75,766 plus the 34,810 should give you the 110,576. That must be what that is. So 144 panels on the roof with less panels on the ground.
48 on the ground, yeah.
To give us the 110,576.
Right.
Well,
In fact, you
97%.
get the tax,
But
right
only
now it's,
97%.
Only 97%.
right now it's 157,965, and if you get the federal tax credit,
Yeah,
I think the issue still lies in because we're tax exempt. So it doesn't actually apply. I think we got the same issue that Kyoto has made in his proposal. We have the same issues here, that we have to come up with a way that they can receive a tax credit.
right.
And so after the tax credit, he's at, that one with the 144 panels on the roof, 48 on the ground, comes up to 110,000.
Yeah, 576.
576.
Yeah. But now you have two separate systems, so.
Right, you'd have a roof and a ground mounted system. The other thing is if these are ground mounted fixed,
Right, yeah, they don't move.
they're not moving.
So what you're saying, Jason, is this one and this one is what
Yeah,
that is?
yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Stay with me. Oh, yep, sorry.
Wasn't my understanding of the RFP specifically stated that it had to be dual access tracker?
That's what I thought, but,
You're correct,
Yeah.
Bianca.
Yeah.
You're correct.
That they were on the ground.
All right, I'm all set with this one. I'm not sure, Chief, if this made it in by mistake. Is this something,
Probably mine, yeah, it was part of my package, I think. Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely a mistake.
so this is Revision Energy. All right, Board of Selectmen, attached to this letter is Revision Energy's response to the town of Rutland's RFP for a solar electric system. Below is a brief summary of how Revision Energy and the PV system meet and exceed the criteria requested by the town of Rutland. New municipal building is being built with goal 100% electricity for the building be generated through an appropriately sized solar energy system. So they're basing on the new building will use about 170,000 kilowatts per year. And also accrued demand charges. This means the town of Rundle will have costs associated with kilowatts per hour and kilowatts. This system is designed to produce a cash value of all 170,000 kilowatts and an extra $300 a month that can be applied towards demand charges and or other town of Rundle utility bills. So it sounds like they're building it larger than what we actually need.
At least one of the proposals, yeah.
That would be, number one. Number two, the system required should provide a minimum of 100,000 kilowatts per hour per year. So this system will produce about 147,000 kilowatts in year one. System will be fully net metered. Scenario below, the town of Rundle will receive a value of about 13 cents per kilowatt produced. That value then can be used to offset both kilowatts per hour and kilowatt charges. Design will take advantage of the new commercial and institutional net metering programs in Maine, saving the town of Rundle an additional $350,000 over a 4-year period. So below are two different economic models. The first one, traditional net metering. The array is tied directly into the building's main service and only receives a value of 9 tenths per kilowatt hour generated. 13,000 worth of value in year one, 450 savings over 40 years. Model number two is commercial and institutional net metering. So the array has separate service meter and receives a value of about 13 cents per kilowatt hour generated. $20,000 in value in year one, 800,000 in savings over 40 years. So their system needs to be designed to be expandable. By building a fixed ground mount, we can add panels if needed. We are not restricted to a minimum or maximum size, unlike a dual axis track system. By using a 600 amp service, we can add another 3 inverters and about 90 more modules, creating about 50,000 more kilowatts annually. And it goes into just discussing the responsibility, construction operations. So the town anticipates solar panels can be placed on the roof system of the new building. Any ground package must be dual axis tracker. And then he argues the fact that a fixed ground mount is the most robust and reliable option for northeast winters, creating maximum long-term value over the lifetime of the system. Dual axis trackers are more costly to install and maintain. The savings from a fixed ground unit outweighs the efficiency of the dual axis tracker. I'm glad you're here, because some of this is gibberish to me, so.
I'll be happy to counter that argument if you like, but
Not yet.
Yeah, hold on a second. No, I'd rather do that at a committee meeting where the whole board is sitting there. So the proposal received by the town shall be evaluated upon the economic advantages to the town, proven track record of installation systems, expertise, and maintenance system. Alright. So. I don't see any cost breakdown.
Each
Oh,
one, each one inside there, yeah. Every one cost.
Page 4. Based on the RFP document, the proposed system will consist of 340 REC 350 watt solar panels, 11 inverters, ground mounted solar racking. Scope of work is a revenue grade meter with internet based production monitoring, 600 amp service for connecting to 7-foot perimeter fence. So the cost to the town for this turnkey system is, wow, $298,534. The 600 amp service. So, is there any reference to the tax credit?
No, I didn't see it.
Is that the bigger of the two systems that they
This,
talked
I
about?
mean,
The-
from what I'm reading, it seems to be the biggest of the
Yeah,
systems.
Yeah, by
The
far.
one
Quite a lot.
seventy, right?
Like almost 50% larger.
That was like our original, yeah. The 170 was our original number.
Right.
but
Yeah.
specifically.
We asked them for a system for 100, and they came up with a system that's 170, 75.
Yeah,
And you can still expand on it, right?
Right.
that was like 340 panels, that's a lot more than.
Yeah, the rest of this just shows the size, different projects that we've done.
We certainly have a lot to digest and review. I think there's any decisions that have to be made tonight, obviously, we need to have some information.
Yeah.
A couple of variables are still outstanding, and the only thing that I could say, and I would even say, that wasn't here, he's the only one that provided us a proposal outlining dual axis trackers, which we required in our proposal. The other companies are coming with fixed mounted systems and or roof mounted and fixed mounted systems, so, just food for thought.
Now, I appreciate you coming tonight, thank you for that. I don't know your availability moving forward, if you could maybe join us at one of the committee meetings if we need you to come, or?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I'm sure, it probably wouldn't be the next meeting, because I'm sure everybody will compile a list of questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down and go through
Yeah.
these and then put questions and stuff together.
Yeah.
But maybe in the next month or so. All right, let's move on then.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I be dismissed?
We have a utility pole permit,
Not mine.
looks like,
Thank you.
Came in from a private company, I guess they work with CMP called Private Power Services out of Saco. They provided this permit, a little different than what we normally see. It's been reviewed by Roger for where they wanna start and how they're gonna install it. I would be, seeking your authority to go ahead and approve it as reviewed.
Oh, don't worry, I will.
all right, looking for a motion, you got a question, Phil?
We worked on projects with these folks,
Okay.
and, they're doing a project for us now,
Okay.
and they are considerably less expensive than CMP.
Okay. All right, that's good.
And I've talked to a lot of folks that have used them, and they've always had good service and satisfactory.
Is that Hector from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, motion to approve the poll permit is submitted.
Alright, motion by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Velma. Any more discussion on this? No? All those in favor? Thank you. Need a signature, Keith?
It doesn't appear to, what I did is I approved by the town, by the board of selectmen, I'll put the date and the vote.
Looks like we got some overdrafts in fiscal year 19.
Yes, I provided a copy of the memo I sent to the deputy treasurer outlining the overdrafts that we have. They're actually in two accounts. The first one is the general government account, which primarily includes the legal line. And as a result of that, we're over by $18,330, and the transfer station has a negative balance of $3,110.56, and that was primarily caused by our challenges that we had with the compactor before we replaced it. So the frequency of breakdown. So I made a proposal here to move $19,000 from the town hall administration account to cover the general government negative balance, and $3,500 from the public works budget to cover the negative balance in the transfer station.
What was the 18,330 from the general government? What did that?
It primarily, it was well over $30,000 in our legal line, but that was the primary cause that created the overamount that we had there. Significantly, we spent about $73,000 this past year, with $52,000 of that earmarked for the Du Bois matter, and $12,000, almost $13,000 to the Stilfen violation down on here. So it was ate up. It was pretty well ate up by two ongoing issues that we had. And your authority's here. We were given this authority during the town meeting to rotate that money, and I sort of laid out with the money how much we have to move. So
I'll make a motion that we move $19,000 from the town hall admin to cover the general government negative balance.
You wanna do it separate?
Yeah.
Alright, so motion for the general government of 19,000 by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Phil. All those in favor?
And then I'll make a motion that we move $3,500 from the public works budget to cover the negative balance in the transfer recycle.
Okay, motion by Dan for the 3,500 towards transfer recycling. Seconded by Tom. All those in favor? Thank you. Service restitution ordinance.
yeah, I placed this in here primarily for discussion purposes. The fire chief has come to me with a thought. I guess there are other municipalities that are doing this, but essentially what he would like to propose, I think, and he outlines it a little bit in the draft ordinance that I provided to you, would be to charge insurance companies for those accidents in which the fire department has to supply services. So if they get to an accident and there's traffic control or fluid cleanup or any of those things that are related to the accident that has occurred, that he would like to be able to enact an ordinance to recoup those funds for those services rendered through the insurance companies. He's outlined in his draft ordinance here some thoughts about it, what his thoughts on charging would be, what kind of apparatus was used, if they had extrication, there would be a charge for that, if there are different types of accidents, what they would be, what kind of costs would be associated with personnel that would be there, so on and so forth. But the reason I actually put it on there is that this is a conscious change in what the community has done in the past. And I guess I'm really more concerned about if it's something that you want to pursue. And what I mean by that is that fire department accidents, fires, those types of activities have always been assumed or absorbed through a regular operating budget that has been provided. Here, you would begin to start to charge for whatever services are being rendered through the fire department. Right now, we charge for the ambulance. Now this would be an extension to start charging for accidents and things like that. I'm not putting any words into the chief's mouth or anything like that, but, you know, are we gonna start charging for fire-related activities as this progresses? So I think it's just something that, as a board, that we need to talk about before we really move it forward. If it's something that you want us to pursue, certainly we'll clean this ordinance up a little bit, maybe have some more discussions with you folks on it. Before we go too far, but essentially, is it something you want us to charge for?
So, municipalities that surround us, what do they do?
Some are charging for it. They're hitting the insurance companies, and that's who they're going after, and I think this is primarily focused on, insurance companies paying for this. From what I understand, as I spoke to the chief, most of them have these services built into their insurance coverages, and if you send them a bill, they'll pay it. So, you know, Jason may have a little more thoughts on this than I do. I'm not quite sure. It's the first I've really gotten into providing and getting charged for services that are accident related.
And then the insurance company turns around and ups the insurance for the person who had the accident.
Quite possibly, that's true. I know that anytime I have a fender bender, my insurance premium seems to go up,
Yeah.
whether I haven't had one in 35 years or not, so.
But it's gonna go up anyway,
Yeah.
simply because you had the accident.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, doesn't matter what they're paying for. But why are we doing this by ordinance rather than policy?
I'm
If
not.
we do it by ordinance, then we gotta go to town meeting to change it every
Correct.
time. If it does by policy, we can change it as.
Not quite sure. It's referenced by home rule authority and.
I know, that's an ordinance, but,
Yeah.
I don't know why we couldn't just establish a policy if we wanna do it.
Yeah.
That's what we,
I
We do
did
it, there's-
research it that way.
Yeah, like the ambulance, the same thing, right? The ambulance is all public, we don't have to go to town hall, I'm
Right.
not waiting for that. That's
And-
good, that's a good point.
And are we going to bill if there are two vehicles involved? We're going to not worry about who caused the accident, we're just gonna bill both insurance companies, or?
Right, so the process of removing vehicles from around a person who's been involved in,
It's
So
billing
it'd
for
be-
services instead of.
it's just the services. We're not gonna get into who's at
whose
fault.
it is?
Right.
Yeah, let the insurance companies duke that out.
Who do you send the bill to, though?
That's
Dan?
for
You
sure.
got an accident involving two cars, do you send the same bill to both of them? Do you cut it in half and hope to recoup only 50% for one? This whole thing sounds like you could wind up in a legal mess, and you wind up paying twice as much in legal fees as what you collect.
Says here, the town may seek restitution of the cost of the fire department service by filing claims with the insurance companies of the insured individuals or the companies involved in the accident where the fire department's services are provided. So if you had somebody that was trapped, and they removed them, they had
Go to
fluid
their
coming out of their
insurance
vehicle,
company.
they'll get charged, so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
you can find out the insurance company involved in their police reports. You know, who that company is, and you could submit it, and let the insurance companies figure out who's at fault and what to pay. You know, we don't have to hire any lawyers to do that.
We just send the bill to both of them.
So, interesting point, I didn't look at it under maybe a policy resolution as opposed to enacting an ordinance.
Yeah. As I said, if we wanna change it, I don't wanna be going back to the town.
Correct, that's exactly what you have to do in terms of,
I don't need that.
yeah, in terms of even the fees that are rated
Right.
here too.
Right.
And we already got away from that by
Right.
having the board regulate fees. So let me do a little more work on it. Is it something that you want us to look at and have further discussion on?
As far as I can see, I mean, there's a lot of language here I've changed,
Yeah.
but at least the baseline is, we're not gonna be seeking to recover from individuals. We get it from carriers, fine, but we're not gonna chase individuals down for
That
this.
is correct.
So I don't
I mean,
have
if they're in
any
the
problem with
ambulance,
chasing
they get,
insurance
they get a bill.
Yeah.
You know, if they're transported by ambulance, they get a
Yeah.
bill. Um,
In this case, if the accident's there and they have insurance, we'll go after the insurance company.
Is the company that we have that bills for our ambulance, is this something they would take care of?
No, there's another company out there
Oh,
that's
there is a company
exclusively set
that-
up to
Oh,
recover
to do
this
this,
collection.
and what is their fee?
20%. You get 80, they get 20.
20% of what we get, not 20% of.
20% of what the total
Of what they
bill is.
collect, or the,
Well, I haven't looked at the fine print, I
Yeah,
set it
yeah,
aside
yeah,
right now
yeah.
until we decide what we're gonna do.
because if it's the bill, it could end up costing us money.
Well, that's
People
the other
don't
thing,
pay.
and that's the thing that we avoided by changing our
Carrier for
biller
the
now,
ambulance, yeah,
with the company that we presently have. So I'd like to sort of set it up
that
in the
way.
same way,
Yeah.
that if you collect it, then you get 20%.
So what happens to the uninsured?
We eat it.
You
We're gonna eat
nothing.
it.
And the state
Like we
goes,
do today
and the
on
state goes,
everything.
and the state goes after them because they have no insurance.
If they're uninsured,
Yeah.
they get more problems than getting a bill from us.
Right. Okay,
I don't like it.
Yeah,
let me do some more work on it, I sort of got a flavor of where you guys wanna go with it.
yeah.
Well,
It has to come back to us anyway?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you have a question about uncollected receivables from ambulance? That was,
Yeah, that was part of my email that I sent to her. One of the things that we're trying to contemplate, we've got some outstanding balances that have been on our books for many, many years, and how we're going to manage getting some of those receivables that, uncollectibles that we have that we're never gonna get. So I asked some inquiries of MMA. They indicated to me that was more of an auditing matter as far as they're concerned. There's no legal, as long as it doesn't relate to taxes, which it does not. They really have no jurisdiction in it, so it's more about us setting up a system that we can just, after a certain, if it's 180 days or 6 months or a year, whatever it is,
write
we
them off.
sort of write that off after we've exhausted, the ability to collect. Now, some of that may go away based on our new company, because they don't get paid unless they collect, so they're gonna be very vigilant about getting it. But we still have that outstanding balances there that we need to address. Auditors talk to us about it all the time, we just haven't done anything about it. So that last paragraph was referencing,
Yeah, I
my
would think
discussions with
that we could come up with a policy that after it was uncollected, after a period of, say, 6 months, that we write it off, or even a year, we write it off.
yeah, what generally happens now is that, folks will get, they'll get an ambulance ride and say, just for argument's sake, say our cost to them is $1,800. So we send to the insurance company a bill for $1,800. They write back and say, we're only gonna pay $1,500. So we have a $300 balance that's sitting here, and so we try to go after the individual to pick up the $300. Their argument to us is, hey, my insurance company paid, why are you coming after me for it? So, that is essentially what ends up happening to us in some of that uncollectibles that we have.
Because my insurance company card says that if I ride in an ambulance, my share is $300, so.
Yeah. So anyway, those are some of the issues we have with that.
How bad would it hurt us if we just settle for what the insurance company pays and leave our taxpayers alone?
I have no problem with that. I think what we've done right now is that if we have residents that have outstanding balances and the insurance companies, that we have not aggressively pursued any further cost. If it's, I I hate to say it, but if it's a gentleman or of folks that are from out of town, or New York, Massachusetts, something like that, then we're going after the full freight, and trying to recruit that.
We setting the tax rate today?
No, and I'll tell you why. From Friday until today, Beth has been on the phone, with, Vision Appraisal and, Trio. Those are the two operating systems we use. She's trying to merge her Vision appraisal material into our Trio so the billing can be done. That merge has not occurred. There's been some computer follow-ups. So she was working on it Friday, she came in Saturday to try to wrap it up, and she was on the phone today to try to get it with no success in getting that done. So our efforts will be for the remainder of the week to try to get that done. It will be, I think it will be my intention to contact you when we finally have the merge completed, and we can sit down and have a tax rate, to have a meeting to just set the tax rate. So, I was told by the tax collector today that as long as we get the bills out prior to September 10th, we should be all set. So September 10th is our drop dead date. So we're hoping that within the next few days, we can get this wrapped up. All the data is ready to merge. The computers will not talk to each other to merge it. So, and we didn't have that problem last year. So, first time. So, sorry about that. I was hopeful it was gonna be tonight. And I pulled off a bit.
Special town meeting note, once again.
Yeah, I provided you another draft. I left some dates. I wanted you to look at it again. The issue I have with this one is we talked about, and I think I gave you a new copy. We talked about the Article 2, the street design and construction ordinance. And we talked about, on the new version, the Article 4, the local option exemption for military personnel for their motor vehicle exemption. But we had not talked about Article 3, which was done by petition. The town clerk received petitions which, I think they came in last week, which she certified. And so I've taken a stab of putting that together, and essentially what it is that we have a petition that's looking for us to make changes in the Section 9 of conditional uses in the land use ordinance related to pet daycare facilities under 9.3.33.3. I provided you a copy of what the ordinance presently says. So the petition warrant article would delete completely item K on the, which has to do with caging of animals. The proposal is to remove that completely, and the final proposal is to add an R, item R, to the end of the section to talk about potable water shall be provided, plumbing is not required, provided attendants have access to a nearby source, and a hose suitable containers to transport water to the facility. And there, I guess there must have been an issue on bathrooms. Bathroom facilities are not required for a tenant, provided such facilities are located within 60 feet of the pet daycare facility. So in essence, I think there was some denials on the pet daycare facility that was being proposed under some of these standards, and the individual has effectively, in our case, gone ahead and got the necessary signatures for it to be considered by petition onto your warrant.
So there's nothing with this, she's taken away stuff for aggressive dogs, so there's nothing that controls any aggressive dog?
That is correct. There would be nothing in there for that, because according to the way I read the petition, is that item K is completely deleted. The other thing is that we have to act on it within 60 days. I think we were proposing to maybe try to do something within the 60-day period, so I don't think we're gonna come up against that, but I just wanted to put it down in form, and then if we wanted to move forward, then we could set up a date that we wanna have this special town meeting, so then I can get the necessary information out to the public, for the meeting.
So you're looking for us to,
Let's set a date.
set a date and approve a special town meeting?
Yeah.
In that section on her Article 3, to add R, was there a comma after the word hose? I mean, I know it's all one sentence, plumbing is not required, provided attendants have access to a nearby source of potable water, and hose, comma, suitable container to transport water to the facility.
It's not there.
It's not there, okay.
Clerk's here with the petition, so
Yeah.
she's reading it off the
Yeah.
petition warrant right now.
So,
There's no comma after hose?
No,
Okay.
potable
Sorry.
water and hose and suitable containers to transport water to the
Oh,
facility.
and suitable containers?
And suitable containers.
Okay, so I left the and out.
And out, okay, all right, that's what.
It says and suitable container?
There's a couple of
All
items
right,
there.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Potable water and
Suitable
hose
containers.
and suitable containers,
Ah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, potable water and hose and
And
suitable
suitable
containers.
water, comma, hose, yeah.
Okay,
So our next meeting is the 9th.
it'll be the 9th,
And then
and
we
the
have
meeting after that would be the 23rd. What's your pleasure?
Ninth?
Meeting? Yeah, through the 9th? Yeah, I'll make
That's
that
what
motion.
the construction-
You're gonna have a big night that night,
Yeah.
cause
Oh,
you got
wait a
the
minute.
contractors
That's the
coming in with
contractors
all the
coming in.
bids,
Yeah.
and you'll have the furniture bids. I mean, it's doable, but you may have a bunch of people here
So
that are not
Article,
residents.
Article 2 is not, that's not holding anybody up anymore, right?
No, that's correct.
Right. So we can wait till the next 23rd.
That is the 23rd is the next one?
It'll be the 23rd, yeah. Wanna try for the 23rd?
I'll make
That
a
gives me
motion.
enough time to get this straightened out. I think I still have to have you sign it before I can post it. So that gives me the 9th for you to sign it. And then it gives me enough time to get it, cause I'm required by ordinance to get it out to our taxpayers, so I'm gonna have to send a 3x5 card with the special town meeting. So, it'll give me enough time to do that.
So I'll make a motion that we hold a special town meeting on September 23rd for the 4 articles as submitted to the board.
I'll second that.
Alright, motion's been made by Dan, seconded by Delma, for the 23rd town meeting. All those in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Alright, moving on. Dan, you wanna talk about security?
Yeah, okay, so if you remember correctly, a while back during our regular meetings between us and the building committee, Jack had put together quite a comprehensive requirements for security. So Keith and I kinda sat down and went through some of this stuff, and I'll pass these out. Got a proposal that Keith put together based on our discussions, and I just kinda wanna talk a little bit about
I
it.
can't remember I put one together.
Aha, I don't get rid of nothing.
Oh, okay. It's all right. We got enough?
Oh, actually, I'll give one to Jack, cause he was part of, I have one extra copy here.
Oh, that's right, I did. I tried to take some of Jack's thunder and reduce it just a little bit.
Yeah, so basically, I think what Keith and I had talked about is, you know, if you remember, Jack's list had, you know, a whole bunch of stuff in there, were really for items for us to discuss and kinda go, and he wanted to make sure that he covered everything. And, I think, you know, we looked at what the real needs are, and, so we talked about, you know, maybe just having 4 or 5 cameras, a card entry. You talked about, after you did this, did you talk that the card entry, probably not gonna do that, or was that another discussion that we had?
I
No,
think that was
okay.
just another discussion,
Yeah,
that was
okay.
just one of the proposals I came up with,
Yeah.
because I sort of like the card system.
Yeah.
And it's, I talked to the fire chief on it, I guess you can buy the system where not only can you get the electronic cards that you can assign to each buddy, you can also get non-electronic cards to provide IDs to personnel as well. So it's a dual thing, and for him, it'd be very beneficial for him for IDs for his personnel on the fire grounds and things like that. So he'd have a tag system for them, so we know who's there.
Yeah.
And he also has the ability to get an $1,800 grant for the printer. So I think if we do it together, I think if we can do the card system, there may be something that's beneficial.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm reading that, and yeah, you know, now, we produce our own cards.
Oh, I did send you an email on it, huh?
You did, yeah. So, and then the other thing was on, like smoke detectors. We had talked about, you know, and part of Jack's list was integrating all the smoke detectors, and the chief, comments and believes that, heating and cooling system will have heat sensors, and we pretty much should be all set with
Correct.
that.
Said that all that system should have a heat monitoring system within it that we can tie in, we'll have alarms.
Question though, how are you gonna know when there's a problem, if a fire starts?
It'll be an alert system, so it would be integrated into that, you know, like the fire station now has a monitored fire, so when the fire alarm is activated,
Okay.
it lets dispatch know that, okay, there's an alarm at.
There would be a notification.
Correct. And then I looked a little bit at the public restroom to make that a timeable, time system, so we, as you alluded for, go dusk to dawn, so as the times change, we can monitor that and change it accordingly. And then we talked about the 4 or 5 cameras, and we came up with some locations we thought were
Yeah.
appropriate.
We had figured, you know, basically a camera over where the public comes in, you know, to do their stuff with the town clerks. A camera, actually at each entrance, and to kind of, cover the mezzanine, or the, whatever you wanna call, you know, the foyers, or whatever that is, so all of those entrances, and then, the dusk to dawn would be the one over at the
Public restroom.
public restrooms.
Yep.
And for outside stuff, we didn't feel that there was really a need to have cameras monitoring the outside. The lighting that's gonna be in there will be dusk to dawn lighting, and you can easily put motion detectors on those lights anyway, depending on what you buy, so. Kinda what we thought, is gonna wanna throw that out to you guys and see what your thoughts are before we send this out.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
I mean, personally, I don't think that we need a real super duper.
We don't need anything outside, you don't think, huh?
I think we do.
I mean, we can certainly add a couple of cameras, you know, I mean,
Can't cost much.
yeah, no, they
Can't
don't,
cameras
they
anything.
don't.
You know, if light goes on, if a burglar wants to get in, if there's no cameras,
Well, there'll be cameras at the entrances, right?
what if he goes in someplace else? I mean, all you see today is cameras taken
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I like that, but
Yeah,
they're catching a lot of people who would have not otherwise ever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I think you'd want a camera on each corner of the
Cameras-
building,
cameras are
minimum,
cheap.
you know,
Mm.
take in the whole
Yep.
side.
We can add We can add, 2 or 3 more cameras. to the
Perimeter
package.
cameras.
Yep.
We can just add perimeter cameras and,
Yeah,
yeah, they're cheap, and they're not that expensive, so.
And once your system is in, the camera, small.
Yeah, and that was part of, somewheres here, we had I don't know if we got this down, but expandable, we had talked about making sure.
Yeah,
that
the system needs to be designed to be expandable.
Expandable,
Yeah.
yeah.
If we wanna add stuff down, we'll go.
Maybe take out the 4 to 5 cameras, just,
So we'd say 4 to 5 interior and then perimeter cameras.
And then allow the company to sort of design it.
Lita was kinda critical of that approach.
Yeah.
She said, we're gonna get, we'll be able to, apples and oranges and all that stuff she was talking about. She may be right about that.
Yeah, she could be right about it.
What's that?
She was critical about not being specific, you want cameras on 4 corners of the building, you want, where you want them in the building, so you were gonna get able to evaluate proposals, apples to apples, so to speak, rather than have somebody just go off and say,
Yeah,
you got this proposal for this amount of money, but how does that compare to another one you might get? It's not similar,
yeah.
so you don't know how to.
We may wanna talk to him, because the ones that were specifically required inside, Dan pointed out the most appropriate places to put them, and I X'd them on a sheet on one of the designs, so I've got those. If we wanna do the perimeter, we can probably come up with something there as
And
well.
then that sort of go out in the proposal.
Okay,
Maybe we run this by her and see what she thinks
okay,
too. I mean, she's got more experience with these than we do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
somebody could have like a state-of-the-art type thing that we're missing out on too, though. What do we got?
Good.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Other business, approve the payable warrants.
And I think there's payroll there too.
Payrolls
Yes,
as well.
there is.
Payroll and
Payroll
payable.
and payable.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Velma, seconded by Tom. All those in favor? Gotcha.
A few more times there.
Guess not dropping off committees.
Yeah, right. Doesn't work that way.
I do have a couple of, comments, things I had mentioned this to.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the other thing.
I had mentioned to Keith, and you guys see the nice new sidewalk on the old Alfred Road? It's about, I don't know, 100 feet long, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does it go?
And who's gonna use it?
That's what we've complained about for 9 months.
And they put in a sidewalk, but
Put
they
it in
won't put in a
With great
traffic light.
Yeah.
Well, we have granite curb on the radiuses
Yes.
to protect for the snowplows.
Right.
We have no curbs anywhere else. And they're still putting them in.
But that wasn't our requirement, I think that was through the state designed that, they put those sidewalks in.
They probably pulled it out of our ordinance where it says, and I'm not sure if did
Do we have any review of that?
Yeah,
intersection?
I don't remember if we reviewed that, did that ever, that wouldn't have gone to a planning board, so.
No.
So I might not have picked up on it when they presented it to the general public. I
Right.
don't know.
I did, yeah, I remember the presentation by the general public, and we were all focused on the reason why they weren't having lights there. And we may have missed that sidewalk thing altogether.
And then the other thing that I just quickly wanted to bring up is, Keith also was in that email, so we've already gotten some positive feedback on, Keith is providing, on the website, the packets and the stuff that, all the stuff that he gives to us. And, from somebody different than we've heard in the past that have said, hey, this is nice, we like that, so. We'll see as the planning board expands and starts to do that, they haven't started doing that yet, but.
It's not taking a ton of time, it's just,
No, it's the same stuff I send to you folks. The only exception that I would make at some point would be if it was executive session and non-public information that we had to share. I wouldn't be giving it to the public, so that'd be the only difference.
Motion we adjourn.
Got some good feedback.
Motion to adjourn from Dan,
Second?
seconded by Phil, all those in favor?
8:25.
Have a question?
No, I didn't see your hand, Jack, I apologize.
That's okay.